Sorry.
Those of you who don't know me, I'm the production coordinator at Easthampton Media. I would like to start off by saying that I don't like computers and I don't trust technology. It's scary, it's frustrating, and there's too many buttons, right? But I found that almost everything that I really like doing or that I'm really good at, I've had to learn how to do with computers, motivated only by my wanting to keep on making stuff, which hopefully is going to be true of all you guys as well. I'm going to share a brief anecdote to that effect, and then we'll get started. When I first learned how to edit video in the year 2000, it was on a VHS deck that was about the size of a bus. It was beige, and it had two VHS tape decks on it, and I really loved editing on it. But a couple of years after that, I had to start editing digital footage with a computer, and I was really opposed to it because it was hard and it was different from what I learned to. But during that time, I was able to do it, again, motivated by knowing that I wanted to make something, and that if I wanted to make that something, then I was going to have to learn to do it a new way. And now it is my job to do that. And so I want you to realize that whatever it is you've come here wanting to do, that it's not complicated and that it's something that is completely within your capabilities of mastering given a fairly short amount of time. So before I get started, I'd like to go around and have everybody briefly introduce themselves and just say what it is that motivated you to come here. Maybe what kind of video you would like to make, or just what kind of video you saw that, you know, made you think like, I'd like to do something like that. So with that, I'm gonna go around the room and unmute people. All right. How do I? Okay. Can I unmute people? I'm clicking.
You can, or you could just say unmute yourself.
Okay. People, unmute yourself. Grace, let's start with you.
Hi, I'm Grace LeClaire, and I have experimented a little bit with trying to make some videos because I'm a writer and I like to talk, but I haven't gotten to the point where I'm able to do that on video without it sounding stilted and weird. So I wanted to learn a lot more about it, so that's how come I'm here.
Okay.
Meredith, you look like you're unmuted.
I'm Meredith Broberg. I love drawing, and I'm curious to make some drawing instructional videos. So I'm really interested in learning editing for a variety of reasons, but that's my first thing that I want to try.
Awesome. How about Brett and Sandra? Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Brett Costello. Anybody who talks to me for any small period of time realizes that I love talking to them about financial literacy and saving money. And what could be a better time to save money than a pandemic? So it seems like a good time to just talk about how we can all live well on a little bit less, because that's what we're actually doing these days. So that's me.
I'm Sandra, and I am a photographer in Easthampton, specifically Eastworks, and I am always interested in ways in connecting with my clients, and I've done a little bit of video work, and I would like to do a lot more, and I've learned so much from the folks over at Easthampton Media, so I'm happy to be here today.
How about Robert? You look like you're unmuted.
Yeah, I'm Robert Floyd in Southampton. I have a brick and mortar art gallery for 18 years and teach a lot of photography and counsel artists how to sell and market their artist artwork. And I need to change the venue from doing what we've done to creating videos. And I'm also a board member of Easthampton Media, so that's why I'm here.
Cool. Seth.
I'm Seth Kay. I'm a photographer located in Chicopee, working from home right now. And I've been interested in doing some video stuff for a while. I have a YouTube channel with almost nothing on it, and interested in learning new ways of, like Sandra said, communicating with my clients, new ways of getting the message out there, and just looking to do right by my clients, by my colleagues, and just in general learning something new.
Great. A lot of photographers here today. How about Dee?
Hi, I am Dee DeFata. I have a YouTube channel that I started 2 years ago called A Dose of Positivity, DEE, and now I'm looking to interview people. So I need to find out more about editing and how to do it, because when I make my videos, I make them authentic, and I know going forward I can't do that. So
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Tracy.
Hi, I'm Tracy Roth. I own the Hub Studio in Florence. It's group fitness, personal training, nutrition coaching, and of course I'm closed. So I've been working with people online, doing virtual classes, working one-on-one, nutrition coaching. And I just realized more and more, it's going to be a while for my industry till I can safely open. So I know I have to do a lot more online, but also I just received a grant to purchase some video equipment so that I can make recorded workout videos and teach, make online clinics and workshops for people. And so I know nothing about that. So I'm just soaking up everything I can about video and editing and so forth.
This is a great place to start learning. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. Gliffy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Time. I am also interested in fitness. I teach active older adults, and we do the Healthy Bones and Balance class. And I'd like to do more. And the whole point of it is to help to keep us oldsters independent and healthy and remain part of the community. And I really appreciate everything that Easthampton Media does for us.
Thank you. Erica, Ann.
Hi, my name is Erin Flood. So I am the newly elected president of Easthampton Media, which I'm very excited to be part of the organization overall. And I myself am a photographer, and I also manage a graduate program in photography at the Hartford Art School. So there's a whole list of reasons why I want to learn video, both professionally and also I think that video could be a really great way to start to inspire more civic engagement in our community. I have a lot of ideas for exercising my creativity and sort of rallying others to be involved. And then of course I have two Amelias behind me that are ages 14 and 12, and they're really interested in becoming content creators as well. So I think this is a great opportunity for all of us to just get some basics under our belt and see where we can grow from there.
Excellent, thank you. Owen.
Hey, I'm Owen Zared. I'm a Easthampton resident now for about 20 years or so. And I'm also serving my second term on the city council. I've been a big fan of all that Easthampton Media has to offer, and I'm interested in a variety of projects via video and need to learn more about how to do my own production. I have a page on Facebook where I do interviews with local businesses. Sandra, maybe if you're interested sometime, called 3 Questions. And I've done that more in kind of a written journalistic format, but I'd like to transition that to a podcast or video podcast at some point. So we actually just spoke last week about that. I'd love to, this is a perfect opportunity to tune in more to find out how to hone my skills.
Very cool. And I think the last person I have that I didn't get to is Ted.
Yeah. Now on your screen, you're going to have a blank space with my name. Don't delete that, because okay. I'm on 2 things here. My computer doesn't have a microphone or a camera, so I have to use my phone. But I get a bigger picture on the computer monitor. Gotcha. My name's Ted Perch. I am on the board of Easthampton Media, I have been producing a program called In Studio since 2013. All of that has been up to this point with a crew and a live location and the whole schmear. And now, of course, we can't do that for the time being. So I'm looking into ways of continuing my program virtually or by Zoom or however that gets done. So that's why I'm here. I need to know how to adapt to the times and learn the skill and get on with it. And I see Meredith is here. She's a neighbor on one corner, and I see Grace. She's a neighbor on another corner, and it's like old home week here.
This is great.
So that's oh, Gliffy, you didn't mention that Gliffy used to be on the board.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's me.
Very cool. And we have one more that joined us. Hi, Dan Russell. We're just introducing ourselves and saying a little bit about what brought us here today. Would you like to speak? See if we can unmute you. Hold on. Dan Russell. Okay, I think you're unmuted.
Okay. Basically what I heard, it's good to see you. Yeah, I mean, I got 4 shows in, I was enjoying the heck out of it, and then bang, slammed the door, and I'd like to figure out a way around it.
Yeah, so Dan has been filming a show called Songwriters Spotlight, where he introduces local songwriters and they perform, and it's a really awesome show that he started this year. So we look forward to trying to help you figure out how to do it virtually.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I don't think I skipped anyone, hopefully not. And so I'm going to turn it back to Ryan. Thanks everybody for introducing yourself.
Thank you, Jen, again for moderating the introduction part. I think I would have just kept talking over people and be like, no, now you go. No, now you go. So, before I get into like structure or format or anything, I want to talk just like a little bit about gear, which is one of the things that I think scares and intimidates people away from moving forward in new technology, because you say, what do I need? And the choices are so many, and there are so many things that you can choose to have or not have. It is really difficult to know what you need. So in this situation, you want to make a video to upload to the internet, to Easthampton Media channel. What do you really need? Almost nothing, honestly. You need a device that is capable of recording video, and you need an internet connection. Those are the bare minimum, and almost every other part of this you can finagle in some kind of DIY fashion. Now that being said, there are 3 pieces of equipment that if you are semi-serious about sort of upping the quality of your homemade videos, that I would recommend that you get. The first one is an old tried and true number called tripod. And I am probably not alone when I say that I have made videos and I have done video calls where the angle is determined by which wall has a shelf on it, or which corner of the room has a pile of books that I can lean my phone against. The tripod that I have is super cheap. This one was less than $20. It's plastic and aluminum. It is adjustable, goes up to about 5 feet so that you can record yourself standing if you're under 5 feet, or you can place it on your desk in order to get a, the top half of your body. One of the important things I found is to have one that folds down so that you can get a portrait view as well as a landscape. Up until about a week ago, I wouldn't have known what you would do with only portrait view, because in making video that you want to put on TV or on Facebook, you want to always be in landscape because it doesn't get those black stripes on the side. But I've recently learned that in several situations, mostly in social media, if you wanted to upload to TikTok, if you wanted to upload to Instagram stories, that is a situation where you would want to be able to adjust your tripod to shoot in landscape mode. The second thing that I'm going to recommend that you get is a microphone that hooks up to your smartphone. Again, there's a wide variety that you can choose from. The very simplest of these probably starts at about $20. I'm got an illustration of this to show you just to. All right. So the one on the left is a lavalier for you to clip on to either your own lapel or the lapels of a guest on your show. And this one would go into the stereo jack on your phone, as illustrated on the right. This one on the bottom is something that you would mount separately if you were able to do that. You have the option of using the charger port on your iPhone. They make this same model for the charger port on an Android or a different kind of smartphone. This is a condenser mic. This is more high-end than you would probably need right at the beginning. I would recommend one of those lavalier mics because you might not need the highest quality possible sound, but it really makes a difference even in YouTube videos, whether you can clearly hear the subject and whether you can clearly hear the wind in the room, the birds outside. Personally speaking, if I was to go on YouTube and look for a video where I was looking for expertise of any kind, if the very first thing I heard was room noise, I might infer that that person didn't have the kind of technical knowledge that I would want to, learn. And I would dare say that even a casual YouTube video maker, if you're still using only the internal microphone on your smartphone, you're really going to limit both your exposure, because I don't think I'm the only one who shuts off videos when the sound is absolutely terrible. And it doesn't take a whole lot of extra effort. It is a one-time purchase depending on what quality of microphone you want, and it makes a really big difference. Number 3 is, I'm going to say, some kind of mounted light or a light ring. I'm actually using an LED light on a gooseneck right now. This is the natural light of the room I'm in. You can see that it's a lot more shadowy. There's a light on above me, and there is a window over to this side. If you were to click on a video and I was here in the shadows, you might think that I looked a little bit sinister, had something to hide maybe. A light ring, as I got an illustration for that too, is exactly what it sounds like. It is a ring of light that you would mount either on the top of your tripod, or they have versions that clip on to the back of your computer monitor so that your shot is illuminated in a way. I would say that if you invest in a tripod and a clip-on light of some kind, it eliminates almost half of the guesswork of lighting a shot in your room, because you can choose to use a wall that doesn't have any light sources coming off of it, and you can use the natural light and the artificial light in a way that you can make it look how you want. This one has 3 settings, so I'm going to go back to the high setting. How does it look?
And I'll point out that I have a little light on in front of me as well that lights me up.
Are you saying the rest of us look sinister?
Yeah.
Not because of that.
Thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome. So I want to talk a little bit about how to figure out, a lot of people come in and they say, I would like to make a video and I do not necessarily know what kind. And I think that the first step is always to identify what you like in videos that you've seen, to take the time. There's an old saying that the best kind of editing is the kind of editing that you don't notice at all. And starting now, you should take some care to try to notice that editing. There are lots of things, from the way that 2 shots are cut together, to music laid over top, to fade-ins and fade-outs, that you don't notice because they make everything sort of seamlessly and easily fit together. But in order to figure out what you want to make, you have to be more of an observational viewer of YouTube videos as opposed to a passive viewer, as we so often are. So the way that I'm going to go about this is I'm going to use a couple of different formats as a way to sort of illustrate what you might want to do. At this point, I would say that 70% of the videos people are making are going to be single subject, because we, except for the people in our own homes, are very cut off from each other at the time being. So this encompasses a really wide variety of shots. It could be you singing a song, it could be you saying a poem, or declaring your political beliefs. But it is something that you can shoot and upload almost immediately, and how much time you spend on it really depends on how deep you want to go into editing. I'm going to talk a little bit about several free editing softwares that are available, and besides a single shot, which, you know, this is what we all look like now, we're all in single shot view, you might want to interview. How many of you are thinking about interviewing another person? Okay. How many of you, besides this call, have gotten a little bit more familiar in the last couple months with using Zoom? How many of you think that this would be appropriate, you would like to record and use Zoom as a way to figure into a program?
Yeah.
There are two ways of interviewing. One that really requires a telecom program like Zoom or like Google Meets, and that is if you are prioritizing conversation. If you want to be able to talk to people and ask them back and forth questions, if you want to ask follow-ups, then this is really the way to do it. And you're going to sacrifice a little bit in video quality, but there's not really a better way of getting both sides of a conversation. Now, if your priority would be to have more control over the final product in terms of how it looks and how it sounds, and you were not so big on the back and forth aspect, the way to do it would be to write out your questions or film a series of questions on your smartphone or your computer, and have your subject film a series of answers on their smartphone or computer, send them to you through like a Google Drive or something like that, and use one of the free editing softwares to connect both of them. And that way you would have a lot more options as far as adding text or adding transitions or things like that. And then, of course, there are, you certainly could do things like music videos. You could, you know, we've had people who are reading scripts, and I would say that those also require at least like a medium amount of editing knowledge. Is there anything that I didn't go over? Is there any like sort of format for a video that anybody's thinking of that they saw that doesn't fall into one of those categories?
Ryan, I have a question from the background about gaming videos. Do you know anything about?
A little bit. I can try to answer.
So I guess what would be the mechanism that connects like the game? Like how would you record in game, I think is the question. Is there software?
I know that there are a number of softwares that speak to that specifically. I don't have any direct knowledge of what they are. I know that they exist. Jen, it looks like she has an answer.
I can figure out how to unmute myself. I know a lot of gamers stream on Twitch and use the Open Broadcast software, which is a free streaming software that we also use. So Twitch and Open Broadcast software are what you want to look into. But I'm happy to connect with you outside of this workshop because I know people that do that. So I can get their advice.
Thank you.
Podcasts, I wanted to talk a little bit about first. Podcasts really are the same in that you would record them over one of these softwares, and the only difference is that you don't have to shave or get dressed or anything. If I was going to be just doing a podcast, I would record the video over Zoom, although you probably have more options for recording audio-only interview than if you were going to do a two-way video.
Ryan?
Yes.
I'm interested in also going outside on location with photographers. Could be at a waterfall, could be at an ocean beach, it could be in the woods where background noise would be kind of cool. Overly, so does it a special covering for a mic or more directional mic?
Yeah, you can get a windscreen, which works pretty well, and we have sometimes what is called a dead cat, which is a special kind of windscreen that cuts down. If you're in like a full, hurricane, you're still gonna hear it, but it cuts down a lot on outside wind noise.
I'm going to interrupt real quick and remind people, because I think some people who joined late here, but right now we do not have equipment lending available because of the pandemic. However, whenever we end up opening, whatever that looks like, we have all of the professional gear that you would need for you to borrow to create your projects. So hopefully as time moves on and we're able to kind of reopen our services again, you can always come to us to borrow this equipment.
About if you're like I'm doing the exercise classes where part of it might be moving and part of it might be seated stationary, is there a special way to do that?
In terms of the recording, or in terms
in terms of the recording and the sound. So some parts I'm a little farther away from the microphone. Will it just automatically adjust and pick it up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can just, I would, a little bit of trial and error, but I would think that for something like that, you might want to use a mounted microphone as opposed to something that was clipped on you.
Well, actually, when you were mentioning microphones, do you have one that you would suggest that's like at the Y, I use like headgear, like a wireless headgear? Is there anything you would recommend for that? Because that way the cord doesn't get tangled up when I'm moving around.
There are a number of wireless options for microphones. I don't have a specific one. It really depends on how much, how long you think you're going to want it and how much you want to spend. Most of these pieces of equipment, you can get like a starter version that would certainly be a lot better than the microphone that is on your camera or your computer for maybe $30, and then they run up to upwards of $200.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Tracy.
Also for fitness, I was thinking of getting a camera for video to put on a tripod, and I'm looking for my notes about, I did some research online, but I can't seem to recall the name of the type of video camera. Maybe you or one of the photographers here can help me with that, because I thought that would be higher quality than just using my cell phone.
I don't have a specific camera idea, but I would welcome anybody else's suggestion.
Yeah, not necessarily a brand, but the type of video camera.
Yeah, there are different types. You could get a standard camcorder, HD camcorder, which would have, it looks like a real camera. You could get a DSLR camera, which looks more like a photography camera. Yeah, DSLRs are really popular in independent filmmaking right now, just because they look really nice. You can swap out lenses. They are more complex, as the photographers can probably tell you. You have to know a little bit about exposure theory. So it's a matter of how much you want to spend and what features are you looking for. Are you looking to have a setup that's really simple, that all you do is hit record? Or do you want to learn more about cinematography and filmmaking? If you're going the cinematography filmmaking route, the DSLR is a really good choice.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to produce professional looking videos that ultimately I will sell if the cinematography is good. So that's probably the route I want to go and to learn about.
Yeah, and also it's really hard to be both the camera person and the person in front of the camera. So, you know, it's one of those things you can once you understand how it works, you can set it and forget it, but it does take some time to learn. And hopefully at some point when we're able to open up again and teach classes one-on-one, we can do more in-depth trainings on the cameras that we have. We have both camcorders and DSLR.
Thank you.
I'd like to hold the questions just to see if we're going a little off track with what Ryan had planned, and try to keep questions towards the end, if that's okay.
Let's get back on track. All right, I want to talk about some of the free editing software options now. I feel like free editing software, there are a lot of varieties and there's lots of things, but I feel like I've chosen three. There are three specific tiers as far as how much you want to learn and how much you want to be able to manipulate your video, and how specific you really want to get in terms of, you know, how much of your stamp you put on it, how much personality you put into it. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the YouTube editor that comes with YouTube. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, so earlier today, I uploaded this 34-second video of me in this chair I'm in now dancing to illustrate how the YouTube editor works. Now, the YouTube editor, as my 13-year-old son puts it, totally sucks. But what that really means is that it is a subtractive editor, which means that you can't add very much, but it does give you the ability to subtract and to change a little bit. Okay. So the first thing is that you're able to trim, and I would say that's the most important thing to somebody who doesn't want to spend a ton of time learning to edit, because if you shoot a video of yourself in frame talking in one take, there's certainly the chance that there's something before or something after that you might want to cut out. You might want to cut out saying, all right, take 4, 2, 3. You'll be able to edit that out. You'll be able to edit out what comes after. You are able to add a screen at the end, but only so far as it will allow you to choose which video it will play to next. There's no titling on the YouTube editor, but you can add music, but it's going to be from a pre-chosen list of YouTube approved music. So let's go with Potato Deal.
Potato Deal?
Great. The other thing that the YouTube editor allows you to do, the one other thing that it lets you do, is it will search through your video for people's faces and blur them out. So I don't know how many of you would like to videotape people that you would then like to blur out of your video, but YouTube certainly gives you that option. All right.
So you can, I'm just gonna recap. So you can trim, you can add music. Can you add titles or anything on YouTube?
No.
Oh, okay, so it's very basic.
Yeah, I thought you were able to add titles, but it turns out that end screen is just the link to the next video that shows up before your video is over.
Okay, can you, on YouTube editor, are you able to chop out like a little section in the middle?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
I would say that the medium choice is, hold on, I'm out of my element here. There we go. The medium choice for a free YouTube editor is Apple Imovie. Have any of you used Imovie before? Okay. It is really easy to use, and it is, I see a few of you that might have edited at our studio back when we were open before the pandemic. And what we use at Easthampton Media is Final Cut Pro. And Apple iMovie is very, very similar to Final Cut Pro. It looks almost exactly the same. It does maybe about half the things, but it requires more attention than YouTube Editor. But you would be able to add titles, you'd be able to add music of your own choosing. So I'm gonna open up that same video in iMovie and show you some of the things we can do to it. Okay, so I opened up the same clip in Apple iMovie. I'm gonna put on some titles just to show you how quick and user-friendly it is.
Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah.
So it looks like it's drag and drop.
Yep, almost entirely. Done. Gonna go up to audio, add some music here. Done. You have a lot more options. You can organize your files into projects. You can keep a number of clips on here. You can download them to your desktop. So it is a few cuts above where the YouTube editor has us. And I would say that it would take, I don't know, if you sat down with this program and you had no video editing knowledge at all, I think you could learn it in several weeks.
Several weeks.
Is this compatible with Microsoft or PC?
I don't think it is.
No, I think that iMovie comes standard on a Mac, but I don't think PC has a standard video editing software. You'd have to download one.
Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions for PC for like free software to edit on PC besides YouTube?
Not offhand.
Okay.
No, I don't.
I know that Adobe is giving free trials, I think 30-day free trials to people. So Adobe Premiere, it would be compatible with PC or Mac. And also, what were we talking about earlier? The Blackmagic one?
Oh, Davinci Resolve.
Davinci Resolve is another free editing software, but it's pretty complex. But you can download it on a PC and use it. It's just one of those things that it takes some time to learn. And just to interrupt, sorry, Ryan, but we may try to put together more of these virtual workshops, and maybe we'll do one that's more focused on one piece of software so we can go more in depth. The point of today is to just give you an introduction to some possible tools to use. Yeah.
All right. There are a lot of options, and I'm going to talk about Davinci Resolve next. And I had a little bit of trouble learning to use this for the first time. Davinci Resolve is, and I don't know if this applies to anybody here, but I'm going to mention it anyway, is a free but complex program. It is probably the most specificity that you can get without having to pay a lot of money. And that is to say that it's got lots of options for color grading and for transitions and for really specific sound editing. It's something that you might want to use if you thought this was a possible career, or if this is something that you wanted to spend, a really long time on. And that's not to discourage you from using it, because it is a complex but very, very good program. But I don't know if it's what I would choose to start off on. I would say that it has, if you're used to Adobe products, if you ever used Adobe Premiere, I would say that Davinci Resolve has the most similarities to it. In the same way that iMovie bears a striking resemblance to Final Cut Pro, Resolve has a lot of the same features as far as the way that it's set up, as far as the way that it's laid out. It has a lot more similarities to an Adobe product. So if you've ever used Premiere or even Photoshop, then you might not find it as difficult as some people do. It also takes up a lot of space, I've noticed, Davinci Resolve. So something to be aware of before you download it to your hard drive. Any questions about that? Okay. Well, the things I had besides that are sort of, again, like tips, you know, because we're looking for tips here about little things about lighting, about sound, and then I thought we would sort of open up for a discussion about more specific things, because as much as this is a workshop for us all to learn, it's also like a foundation, because you know, we're hoping to make some of these ongoing. We're certainly hoping to see you guys in public once we open the studio back up. And the best way for us to find out what people would like to learn the most, or what would be the most helpful, is for people to chime in and, you know, let us know what's been helpful and what you'd like to hear more of. So.
Did we go over recording in Zoom, like interview style?
A little bit. I can go over that a little bit more. I've been pleasantly surprised to find out how user-friendly Zoom is over the last month. I think it's something that, you know, most of us are in a situation where we've had to use it, you know, to talk to people that we would much rather talk to in person. But I'm glad that from my point of view, everything was really self-explained. I went through it a number of times in preparation for this and in other ways. So if you were to set up a interview with somebody else over Zoom, the way that you would do it is to start a new Zoom meeting and to send the other person the link. You would make sure to set up the recording preferences in Zoom so that it recorded the meeting to your hard drive, to a folder on your hard drive, as opposed to just recording it on the cloud, because you might not have the cloud, or you might not have enough space depending on how long your interview is. So I would say that make sure it's going to record to a separate folder. Once you start, I would go through the whole thing once, because something that I found in the last couple weeks preparing for this is that the screen share stuff takes a little bit of getting used to, because you're constantly not sure where to look. You're looking at yourself talking, you're looking at other people talking. It takes a little bit of experience, I've found, to get the hang of what's on screen and what you're looking at. And after it's finished, after you've stopped the meeting, it will give you the option to record to both your hard drive. You can record to the cloud if you want. And I think it has the option of recording everybody's parts separately. So hypothetically, if you were making an interview and you wanted to edit together off of the Zoom files, it gives you the option of exporting separate files of people's video and audio, which would give you more ability to manipulate it afterwards. It certainly would give you the ability to add titles and transitions and changes. But if you didn't want to do that, you also have the ability to just take that export and upload it directly to YouTube. And using that YouTube editor, you could generally, Zoom meetings have a period after and a period before where people are going, is this the button? So you could cut that part off.
Nice.
And again, with podcasts, I would recommend to take that same exported file and just detach the audio and use that.
Quick question on the Zoom recording. In my limited experience with recording classes lately, it seems like whatever is up for screen share is what's being captured, and maybe I'm missing a setting thing, because you just mentioned being able to maybe record things separately or were you saying like 2 separate sessions, or is there a way to actually show more than just what the screen share is when it's doing this recording?
I think that when you set it to record, when you set it to export separately, that what you end up with is the close-up of each person's face. I'm not 100% on if you can get just the screenshots. Jen might know.
Yeah, so I've been using Zoom to record a lot. We did actually our first podcast recording on it recently. And you have to just go in the settings of your Zoom app and set it to record separately. But you can have different, 3 different videos, 1 speaker view, 1 grid view, and then I think the presentation. So you can do that, but you have to set it up in the settings before the meeting starts.
Okay, that's super helpful. Thank you, Jen.
Mm-hmm. We have some questions in the chat. I don't know if they got answered, but somebody was asking, and one of our photographers answered about glare on your glasses. But maybe Ryan, you'd like to give a little more information about how do you, when you're shooting and you have lights in your face, but you're wearing glasses, what's the best practice to get rid of the glare?
I've found, I mean, that's tough. I found that repositioning the light helps, that repositioning the light or repositioning your glasses. It's not a perfect situation, but a lot of times it will only show up like that in certain places. So either lowering or raising the light sometimes helps with that.
Yeah, and some of our photographer friends that are with us today said place the light on the side or angle your light from above. So any light that's directly pointed at your face, of course, is gonna reflect the light back through your glasses. So try to put the light above or to the side as well.
And that actually is also very true of, the screen of the computer itself, whether you're on a laptop or whether you're, so one thing I've noticed is that sometimes people will start recording something while the sun is still out, and as the sun goes down and the room gets dark, you will see their faces lit up with this, glow from being right in front of the TV, which is something that you can eliminate by making sure that there's light set up to offset it so that it's not lighting up your face like the moon.
Yeah, and while you're at home, and if you don't have professional, video or film lights, you could just kind of pull some lamps from the living room and try to place them around and experiment with that. Anyone else have questions? Dan?
Glyphy, you're on mute. We can't hear you.
Oh, am I on? Okay.
Yes.
So what kind of light would you suggest? Fluorescent, incandescent, whatever? What would be the best kind of bulb?
Like I said, I've been using LED lights, which I found work pretty well, because one thing about, I don't know how long you'd be recording for, but they do not get nearly as hot as, if you're using like a lamp or a light bulb. And I have one that's on like this long gooseneck here, which gives, a lot of manipulation. I would say that if you don't have something that's mounted to the back of your screen, that the next best option is having something with a manipulatable neck.
Glyphy.
I just wondered, is there like a 101 on Zoom? How do you, what you're talking about, I don't know how you access that. Is it, I mean, I can access you by hitting on the link, but did you have to download the Zoom app, and is that considered secure?
Yeah. I believe, and when you download the Zoom app, the way that if you wanted to start an interview with somebody, there are 4 icons when you open up the Zoom app, and one of them is start a new meeting. And when you start that, it will give you a link that then you can text or email to somebody else. And then when you text it or email it to them, they will click on it, and then it will ask you to let them in, and then both of you are in the Zoom.
Yeah. And that's when you get the password?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just chime in real quick on Zoom. You know, Zoom is getting a lot of press right now because it's kind of the most widely used video conferencing software. But I know they are creating security patches all the time. And the recommendation is to make sure you update it regularly, just like you would update any software on your computer. So set it to automatic update, it usually is. And then the other thing is it's recommended to have passwords because if you don't have a password, you might get a hacker. And that's with any video conferencing software, not just Zoom. It's just Zoom happens to be getting a lot of attention because it's really widely used.
There's also something about Zoom that most people won't know is that the first 40 minutes are free. Otherwise, you have to buy a subscription if you are doing a program that's longer than that. I don't think it's very much, but you have to look into that.
Yeah, I want to chime in a little bit on Zoom. Gliffy, it might be useful to know that Zoom has a lot of short informational videos to introduce you to how to use it. So it's very user friendly.
Okay.
And the limitations on timing for the free account are if you have more than 3 users. And if you do have more than 3 users and you want to spend more than 40 minutes together, you'll get kicked out at 40 minutes, but then you can just sign in again with the same link.
Okay.
So even the free account is very versatile.
Thank you.
Sandra, did you have your hand up?
No, I was just going to say what Meredith said about if you're just speaking with one person, you can go beyond 40 minutes. But if it's more than one user, then you'll get cut off if you have the free account.
Right.
Any other questions about what we talked about today? Does anyone have particular to their project need suggestions on how to get started?
Hi, this is Grace. I have a question. I'm just getting started on this. What kind of support is available through Easthampton Media for this learning process? Is there a way to contact somebody with questions or anything like that?
So we're still kind of figuring out how to operate remotely to our membership, but you can certainly email us or call us, and we're happy to kind of walk you through or give you some advice. So if you wanted to email, Ryan is our production coordinator, and he's probably the most knowledgeable about helping you. So it's ryan@easthamptonmedia.org. I'll put that in the chat as well. You can also visit our website, easthamptonmedia.org, and sign up for membership if you want to be a member of our station. Membership gives you access to our trainings, our gear, and the ability to share your content on our networks, which we really hope that you will do if you do create stuff, because the channels that we run in Easthampton and Southampton, they're the public's channels. They're not Easthampton Media. Like, it's not us that's creating all of the content on it. We rely on you to share your cool local content to your community. So that's all I have to say about that.
Thanks.
Yep. Anyone else?
Robert's talking, but he's muted.
Uh-oh.
As far as learning Zoom, besides the many tutorials they have, there's a fellow called Steve Dotto, D-O-T-T-O. He used to be a TV personality for 15 years and had many other programs, and the guy's amazing. And that's where I learned 90% of what I know about Zoom. And he has weekly free webinars. He records them. It's really phenomenal.
Cool. Dan. I think we have to unmute. Trying to unmute.
Oh, I'm sorry. I muted myself.
That's okay.
being too polite. So Robert, could you chat that person with the instructions? That'd be great. Thanks.
Anyone else who wants to ask questions, feel free to unmute yourself.
I don't have any questions, but I want to say you guys rock. This
Oh,
is awesome.
thank you. You all rock.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you were all able to join us. You know, this is meant to be an introductory, get you started, give you some ideas on how to start producing your content at home. Please do reach out to us if you have questions, need advice. That's what we're here for. Easthamptonmedia.org and Ryan at easthamptonmedia.org. Are there any closing remarks you'd like to say, Ryan?
I really appreciate everybody being here, and I certainly want to reiterate that, you know, anytime that you guys have questions about how to move forward in this or things that, you know, you might think of after, please don't hesitate to email, is what we're here for. And although there are things that I might not be able to tell you right away, I am really good at figuring things out. And you know, I hope that that's something that we're all going to be able to do together, because we really flourish off, you know, having content and having the people in our community, you know, contribute to what we're doing. So I'm invested in that, and I would, you know, be open to helping you guys achieve that means to whatever extent that I can. Thank you.
Yeah, I look forward to your workout videos and your art instruction and your poetry and your music show, everything. I hope that hope this gives you some ideas to get kickstarted, and please do reach out. Thank you again for joining us. I think Erica wants to say one last thing.
Unmute. If you get 2 minutes today to jump on whatever your preferred social media is and give a shout out to this workshop and how much fun it was and informative, that would be great. Basically, tell your friends, because we hope that each time we can pull these together, more people will join us. And I just want to thank Jen and Ryan for all your work putting this together. This was great. It was super informative, so thank you.
Can I ask one question? Do you guys have like a mailing list that you will let folks know when you do future webinars?
Yeah, we have a newsletter. So if you're a member of our station, which I believe you are, you should have gotten it. Did you find out about this workshop through Facebook?
No, you invited me.
I invited you. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'll double check, Sandra, that you're subscribed to our newsletter, but anyone who wants to become a member of Easthampton Media, you're automatically signed up for our newsletter. So we'll be sending out more, you know, email newsletters as we go. Also check our Facebook page. That's the most popular place that people are finding out about us, and our website as well.
And how does it become a member if we're not already?
So on easthamptonmedia.org, there's a little section where you can click become a member. And just to reiterate, a member of Easthampton Media just gives you access to our training, our gear, our staff, our computer lab, and the ability to show your content on our distribution network, our TV channels. It's suggested donation. We are a nonprofit organization. If you want to make a donation, cool. If not, we're not going to turn you away. Our ultimate goal is just to get people in the local community creating their content. And with that, I believe we are done. So thank you so much again, everybody, and I look forward to seeing you again. Hopefully we'll do more of these workshops. I'm open to feedback, so please reach out. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.